terms of, let me just accept that. Okay, so I'm hoping that you were able to connect your phone to the full scope device and were able to take a few pictures. We saw some emails, so thanks a lot for that. All of you have sent some images of what your exploration with full scope. So we are really happy to see all those interesting images. Some of you have also sent algal images as well. So I will share them, but meanwhile, what I'll do is I'll open up this session to all of you so that you can like unmute and maybe talk of something about what was your experience with the full scope, like, because we can right now try to solve all the problems that you may have had. So yeah, is there anything that we should begin with particularly?
I quickly wanted to address maybe before we start, because David sent us an email. Sorry, we didn't get back to you at that time, but regarding any other scope, if you wanted to use apart from full scope, that's perfectly fine too. And once we have the portal for you, you can upload both your pictures, your full scope versus some other microscope you might have. Just mention it once you're like, give your microscope a nickname or something, and just like keep that consistently, and you can upload that, and that should be perfectly fine.
Well, we all should name our own microscopes.
Yeah. I have a beauty and a beast in my lab.
The main the full scope works fine as a scope. I think the main challenge I find is getting good photographs. I presume it's a matter of practice as much as anything, but the focus seems to change very easily once I've got the camera attached. And I presume that's some kind of compression
Yeah.
of the focal length. So it's not impossible at all, but it's a little bit fiddly getting it right.
Yeah, it takes a while to set up your camera, and then also to set up your hands in a way that you can release it off the full scope and then click the capture button on your phone. And meanwhile, you will see that there's a compression or decompression that causes loss of focus. But I guess it's just a bit of practice, and that's one of the disadvantages. But again, it's an advantage that you can carry it with you wherever you go, right? And do that kind of imaging that you have done so far. Anything in particular? Like I'm thinking primarily one thing that I think we should discuss is how do you get the image at the center of your field of view of the camera? Because some of you have sent pictures where the field of view was off the the circular thing that you see when you set up the camera with your full scope. It is off the field of view, something like that. So do you want me to discuss that for a few minutes? Okay, so in terms of connecting full scope to the camera, the rate limiting step in my view is connecting this guy, which is the magnetic adapter, right? So you have to connect this to your camera, or if you have multiple cameras, you have to connect this to your dominant camera in a way that it is centered around the lens of the camera or in the camera, right? And then this automatically attaches to camera to the full scope, so you don't have to do anything after that. So spending time on attaching this piece of magnet on the camera is what I think you need to practice. So I have tried multiple ways of doing it. Let me just change my background so that things are not blurred. Okay, so I've tried multiple ways. I've tried it this way, I've tried it that way. Whatever works for you, in the sense that you have to use a tape to attach the edges of this magnetic strip, right? So sometimes, and since on my phone, I have the camera on the far end, this end, so I have to attach it like this so that I have enough space for me to tape it like this. You know what I mean? So once I tape it like that, and then sometimes, while taping, I can't really see, so I flip it and try to see, where exactly is the center. Then I tape it again. something like that. So this exercise is important for doing full scope, and I think it's something that takes practice. So yeah, Ankita, if you have anything to add there.
Yeah, the other thing I quickly realized is the cover thing as well. So I mean, my phone is just has insane number of cameras. So first you have to always figure out which one is the correct one. But the other thing I usually face the problem, which I have made mistakes before, is the cover as well. So if you have a cover, try it, because that distance thing also matters to the camera.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty thin and they might be okay, but usually you would want it to be as close as to your camera. Like for me, the center camera is the one. So the way we check which camera works is by like blocking with your finger and see which one gets blocked and use that one. And it's a little tricky when you have more complicated phone in a way. So I used to have an older phone which used to work even better for me for full scope, because that only had 1 or 2 cameras and it was easier. Here it's like multiple ones, so you have to really align it in the center and then tape it. It's still possible, it's just a little complicated. And the other thing you have to make sure is once you stick it to your other adapter, which is the full scope one, it shifts a little because of the magnet as well sometimes. So you just have to make sure that all of that is aligned and like really intact. Use as much tape as you want, and usually then it's fine.
Yeah.
And then it won't fiddle that much too when you like take it off or stick it again, because it just keeps moving otherwise.
Yeah. Taping, I think, is an issue, but it takes just a little bit of practice. Another thing that I think happens to me is that when I have assembled everything, the light source on the back, the phone with the adapter on the front like that, what happens is I then am trying to align like that, right? Move it back and forth. And then when I found the right spot to image, then I push the wedge, this guy like that, so that I can create spacing for focusing. So while doing that, if you don't hold the XY with your fingers like that, then you might as well move everything. You know what I mean? So that I think is a problem. So you have, once you have found the right XY, so you have to hold this in place and then use your other hands to move this thing like that independently, and that will help you focus. Yeah, if you have any questions, yeah, please go ahead.
One of the things you might want to think about is if you use painter's tape as opposed to regular tape, you can even tape down on the X and Y and easily remove it without it ripping anything. And it's also good for the phone because it won't leave the glue on the phone.
Well, that's a great idea. Yeah, I think so. I mean, once you have found the right spot, you can just tape this here and then it won't move, and then just change focus like that. Because I mean, the way full scope works in your hands versus the way full scope works when everything is like assembled together on a table top is a little different, because now the phone essentially is pushing the lens towards the sample. So you have to create that space by pushing this guy in between the lens and the sample like that. And just quickly before you comment, there is another thing that I do is, let's assume that these things are on top of a table, right? So I have the light source here. Sorry, that connects on this side, right? And the phone is now on top. Okay, so now you can see that there is an imbalance here. If I keep it on top of a table, it's going to cause an imbalance like that. So what I sometimes do is, you have this additional box of slides, right? So you can place it in here and it sort of creates a straight line, right? Like that. And that helps balance the phone. And you can do that, or you can put in whatever you have, something of that dimension. Even if you don't do that, even if the phone is like pulling on like that, that's fine. You'll have to find a new focus and stay there. Okay. Yeah. A couple of tricks, I think you will, I mean, once you keep playing with the device, you will find your own trick and it will work. Trust me. There's another question, I guess. You raised your hand.
I tried using the slide box to keep the phone propped up, but the phone kept sliding off. And I found that when I kept changing the focus, the way you showed, the tape kept getting unstuck. The phone, the tape with the magnetic strip, they got unstuck. It came away. And I'd realized this as soon as the image disappeared, that's what had happened.
Yeah.
And then reattach. But maybe painter's tape might hold better.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I use a regular tape, and last time during the demo session, I used duct tape, which is pretty strong. So once I taped it on my phone, nothing really moved. But I can imagine that if you use a tape that is not strong enough, then the adapter might move on top of the phone. So yeah, because
I think it's also dependent on the surface, right? Like I use a Scotch tape, which is not super strong, but it somehow works for my phone surface, okay, and doesn't move. But yeah, in some surfaces, I think you have to tape it a little too strong.
I used a lot of tape. Different ones.
Yeah, but do send us a few pictures whenever you can take them. You have our email ID, and just share some, whatever. It can be a bad picture, but we'd love to see them because it gives us a sense of where things are not working. So yeah, if you want me, I can share my screen and show some of the pictures that you guys have sent us and discuss them. Is there any more question before I do that? Okay. Let me just quickly share my screen. So this image is from Jim Logan. So from this image, I can see that the adapter is Jim here today?
Yeah.
Okay. So the adapter was connected all right. I think it is fine. So there is an issue with focusing as far as I can see. There's another image where focus is better. Let me just quickly go to that. Yeah, so here you can see we're able to focus on the filamentous algae that you found. What you can do is you can digitally zoom in, like pinch out your screen, and then you probably can get a much better quality image rather than like one small spot in a dark background. Ideally, this spot should be at the center, but it probably is your camera and the way the phone works that this spot is on top, but it is fine as long as it is aligned in that box of the black background. Jim, do you have anything to say? Like, what was your experience doing this imaging?
The only problem I had was focusing, as you can see from the other one. I tried pushing this slip backwards and forwards, but didn't seem to improve at all.
Well, I would say, you were able to focus. So this strand where I'm pointing right now, this is in focus in my view. Not great, but it is there. However, the whole of the sample won't be in focus at the same time. So you just have to find the spot where you want to focus. Let's say you wanted to show this filament here, and I think you did a good job there.
Yeah, no, that one was fine. It was the other photograph seemed to be a bit out of focus.
Yeah, the other photograph,
yes.
Yeah.
And I pushed the bit through back and backwards and forwards, and it didn't seem to make any difference.
I see. Yeah, sometimes it happens.
I think it's the distance issue here. I somehow feel that the distance is a bit too much. That can also happen, especially with the liquid sample. Sometimes when you put it under that ring thing, it sometimes also lifts the ring without us realizing if the liquid was too much.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I have two thoughts here for this. That could be a problem. One is that the thickness of the ring sticker, as Ankita mentioned, you probably picked up a ring sticker that was really thick for large samples. and you added a water droplet in there with super thin samples. So that distance was a problem. So you have in principle, I think, 3 types of ring stickers, super thin, medium thin, and like thick ring stickers. So try with different ring stickers if you can. The other problem that comes to my mind is maybe you did the right, you took the right ring stickers, but the sample was pointed away from the lens. That could be another problem.
I did
Yeah.
actually use the thickest ring
Okay.
stickers
Yeah.
on
Go
these.
go
till I get the
thinner.
hang of it.
Yeah, go
Yeah.
thinner. The thicker ones are actually mostly for, like, if you want to look at, let's say, some insect leg or something. Those are thicker samples,
Yeah.
and it's better to use those thicker ones for that kind of samples. But for most of the water samples, because there's already these algae is really, really tiny that way.
Yes.
So you want it to be as close as possible to the sample.
Okay, I'll try that next time.
But the other one looks really great already with a thick one. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because
I'm sure you will gain a clearer picture once you use the thinner one.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
very
this-
close. Yeah.
this
Make it
filament was
more
really dark.
two-dimensional.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Okay, I'll quickly jump to another picture from maybe Jenny Francis. So here is a classic example of the adapter not aligned with the lens. That's why you see that the field of view in the dark background is a little off the center. So I'll go to another picture. So I think she was able to focus at different sections of the sample, but again, the field of view was off. So that was a difficult problem there, I think, in terms of taking the image and all that. One thing that you can do is you can also zoom in digitally, like pinching out on the touch screen, and then you will get a much bigger field of view, even if it is offset. So that way you can capture what you want to. Okay, with that, I think I have a long demo session today with the spectroscope, and I need your participation. That's why I'll move on to the spectroscopy demo. In case you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask microscopy questions now. No questions?
You
Okay.
can remove the share screen.
Yeah. I'll remove the share screen. All right. So for spectroscope, again, you can practice with the microscope, and I just wanted to give you a sense of how we build the spectroscope, and then today we'll stop there, and we'll do some experiments next time we meet with the spectroscope, and I'll give you some time to make it. So to make the spectroscope, I need a few things. Let me list them for you here. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So one thing that we will need is this diffraction grating. So everyone has gotten the diffraction grating, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have the diffraction grating. You have a cuvette as well, right? That we have either sent you or you have bought yourself. Like two cuvettes or one cuvette will do. It's a small piece of plastic container to hold water samples. And we will need, I mean, these are the most important items that we will need. One, the other thing is a printed slit like that. Can you guys see? So it's a piece of plastic, primarily dark in color, but it has a thin slit printed on it. So that is on the only transparent section that you can see through. The rest of it is dark in color, right? So that's the printed slit we would need. So this slit is about 100 microns in diameter, in width. So that's it. That's all we will need. No, we will need a bunch of other stuff.
Cardboard.
We'll need
The
a
main thing.
cardboard. So this cardboard is something that I bought from Amazon. It's a thin 1-ply or 2-ply cardboard. You can also use cardboard that is lying around in your household, from shipment boxes and all that. But a thin one is easier to cut and assemble. So that's why I prefer thin cardboards like that, A4 sheet sized cardboards. I have a scissor with me to cut the cardboards, and I have a ruler and pen and a knife. So if you have all that, you're good to go now, and work with me along the demo. If you don't, then I guess I'll do it and you can just watch. We'll also record this session so you can watch it again, just in case you have questions or doubts. Okay. Let me switch my camera because I have to go to the other camera, and let me see if I have everything in place.
You also need tape.
Yes, you also need tape. Thank you, Ankita.
Always need tape for everything.
Okay, let me switch my camera here. Okay. So the first thing we do is we take the, can everyone see what I'm showing here, right? Okay, great. Thank you, Ankit. Okay, so I have the cardboard, and what I need to do is cut out the cardboard in specific dimension. Let me see. This is behaving a little odd. Yeah.
Iqbal, is it possible to zoom out or increase the distance between your surface and camera?
Yeah, I can't because I have a holder, and that's the max I can go in terms of.
Oh, this is better. This is okay.
This is better.
Yep.
Let's see. We are all bootstrapping, huh?
Yeah, towards the table, maybe a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. But it's a little at an angle. Okay, this is better, I think. Okay, so that's the cardboard I have. And what I'll do is I will start drawing lines on the cardboard to make a pattern which looks like that. Okay. Is everything okay? So you're looking at the mirror image. I see. That's why you can't see. Can we change that, Ankit? Do you know how?
No, this is the right
can
image.
read it. Yeah, we can read it.
Oh, you can read it.
It's not it's not
side
laterally
top.
inverted.
Okay, so on my screen I can see it's inverted for some reason.
Yeah, it's fine for us.
Okay, cool.
It's okay. Yeah, no, it's not a mirror image.
Great. So what I did here is that I started drawing lines, and I'll give you the dimensions so that you can also draw these lines on the cardboard. So I took a ruler like this. It's a standard ruler. And what I did is I drew lines of 20 centimeters like this from one edge of the cardboard. And then I drew another line that is 12 centimeters like that. So essentially the first box that I did is 20 by 12. And I'll do it again, but it's just drawing lines. So I thought you guys would get bored. Like, why is this guy showing drawing lines? So I did it already so that, we can speed this process up. So a 20 centimeter line on this side lengthwise and a 12. So I initially started, making dots here so that my lines are straight lines and all that. This I think is trivial. You don't have to be told how to do that. Okay, so once I have the 20 by 12, what I did is then I divided the 12 into 4 sections of 3 centimeters each, right? So that makes 12. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I made another 3 centimeter section on this side, and then I drew a line again. So now I have 20, but then again 3 and 3. So 3 by 3, 4 or 3 by 3 sections on this end of the 20 centimeter line. Okay. And on the other side, so I'll tell you why I didn't draw it at the center. I drew this rectangular pattern on the end so that it's easier to cut, because I already get this edge pre-made, right? Because it comes part of the page. So I will cut along these lines. And another thing that I did is I then started creating another section with 2 centimeters on this side, on the other side of the 3x3 sections, and drew another line like that. So we'll call these sections in numbers so that we all can identify what is what. So 1, 2, let's say this is 3 and this is 4, and we'll name these guys as well, 1, 2, 3, or number, right? So in 1 and 3, I made a diagonal from one edge to the other. Okay, so just a quick question from my side. Do you want me to do this whole thing again so that you can follow it step by step? Or shall we just go ahead and start cutting the cardboard?
I see nods about cutting the.
Okay, so we can cut the cardboard, and what I can also do is send an email with a PDF of this pattern and the right dimensions, so that even if you can't see here properly, you will get all the information and you know how to do step-by-step cutting. But for the time being, what I did is basically made a rectangle of 20 by 12, divided the 12 side into 4 3-centimeter sections, and then made 3x3 blocks on this corner, right? The other side, I made a 2-centimeter section and then drew another line, and then made again these 2-centimeter by 3-centimeter sections automatically. And in the first and the third, I drew a diagonal. So what I will do is I will shade the area that I'm going to cut off, okay, with my scissors. So this area on the far edge has to go. So this is basically getting out now. Okay, so this is going out. The rest we will keep for the time being, and then we'll do a further round of cutting. I have also named the long rectangles here, which are 20 minus 5, 15 by 12, as side 1, top, side 2, and bottom. Okay, so let me just quickly start with the cutting. Line it towards me. Start on this side. Try to be as neat as possible with the cutting, because the dimensions really matter. So I went from this corner to and completed the 12 centimeters. And then I'll do that. And I mean, this is trivial, so it's, but what I'm trying to do is I drew the lines because I wanted to stay on top of the lines and make sure that I cut in a straight line. If you have difficulty, you can move this guy like that, this part, so that it is easier for you to maneuver the scissors. Ooh, I'm going off the line a little bit. Okay. That piece is useless now. So now we have our 20 by 12 section. As I said previously, I have to get rid of this shaded area as well. So I'll do that. And if you can't move from this to that, you can also chop it off like this. Like you get rid of this section first, and then maybe go for that. Whatever is easier. It's just that I want to make sure that my cardboard, and so I'm cutting along the lines so that this will eventually assemble. So taking your scissor right there and cutting it is harder. So you can also bend this like that and chop it off. If you can't do it in a single go, do it in multiple pieces. I can do is, okay.
I wanted to add, if somebody is really into crafts and use those cutters, please go ahead.
Yeah, if you have knives specifically for paper cutting and all that, that would be awesome. So initially it seems trivial, but then you will see once the device assembles, it will do things that you didn't imagine. Interesting scientific measurements. Okay, so as you can see, this part is out now. Let me realign it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'll also get rid of 1 and 2. So there are 4 3x3 squares there. So I'll get rid of 1 and 2 right now. Okay, and what I'll do is I'll make, so now this is how it looks like, okay? And what I'll do is I'll make a cut between 3 and 4 here, so that 3 and 4 become independent and can move. Okay. All right. Now it's basically folding. So what you can do to facilitate folding is hold your ruler like that and bend, try to bend it like this, okay? So that way you can bend this section in a straight line, like have a 90-degree angle like that. Similarly, try to bend all of them to create a crease so that it can be bent. And this part is important because you don't want to bend it randomly. Eventually, the idea is to make a rectangular box. So here, hold the ruler carefully and then bend it in a single go. Okay. Now what you see is that if I fold it and tape it on this edge, then I get this box, right? Let's see if I can show you properly. I get this box with this 45-degree slanted surface on this side. And if I do it well, then I can get this box which I can use for spectroscopy. So that's basically the scaffold or the base structure, and then we'll build on top of this. Okay. There's another thing here. So on 3, I made another square at the center. Now this square is 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. Now you decide how you want to draw 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter right at the center. I basically made a cross section with lines again, and then made 0.5, made a mark at 0.5 and 0.5 and so on and so forth. Eventually, I was able to make a 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter window that at the center of the third square. What I need to do now is that this center square needs to be cut out again. Now, this is hard because you can't do it with a scissor. Well, you can, but it will take you like some time with a small scissor. So here what I do is I take a small knife or a box cutter, something like this, and then I take it out. So I try to make sure that I don't scratch the surface of the table, otherwise I'll be in trouble. And just carefully use the box cutter and okay, I was not able to cut it through. Okay, so this is gone. So now you can see that that's our final product. We have a piece of cardboard that has been cut in this dimension. If you fold it, we'll eventually tape it. You can see that there's a window that I've created here that will fold like that. Okay, and eventually you get the box. So folding is important. You don't want to fold at random angles. So that's why all these lines we have drawn. Let me switch my camera so that I can see all and show you what the final product looks like. Okay, finally, we will get something like this. Okay, not like this, sorry. Yeah, I mean something like that. And if you fold it well, and then it becomes like a tube, and on the other end, you close this guy, it becomes like a closed tube. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll tape it, and after taping, I'll have to start off taping this side, and then I'll close this guy off. So eventually it's a box. But before doing that, one thing that I need to do is the window that I have built here, like this window, I have to add the slit here. So this is where the slit goes. So the final product will look like that if you are getting impatient. So you see, that's the final product. Okay. So what I did is so the window that I created, I connected the slit here on the inside. I'll show you how to do that. And the diffraction grating goes in here. So when my phone connects to the diffraction grating like that, I can see light coming in through that slit onto my phone to create a spectroscopy spectrograph, or it will split light, so it will act like a prism. So from this side, light will come in, it will go through the diffraction grating, which basically splits light into all 7 colors, and then those colors will have information of the sample through which the light has passed through. You know what I mean? Okay, so before that, let's start connecting the slit to this window. So I have a bunch of slits that I cut out like that. And I think we have shared these slits with you. So what I'll do is, it's important to find out how the device will look like. So the device is going to look like that. And this is our window through which light is going to come in, right? And we want to make sure that the window is thin enough. So this large window will have too much light, and we won't be able to process that much amount of light to understand, what is what in the sample. So what we will do is we will connect this slit in a horizontal fashion. So the slit has to be like this. If you're holding the device like this, the slit has to be like that. So that's our window. And I will connect the slit this way, and I will close it like that. So you can see the window is closed, and there's only a thin horizontal slit that allows light to get into the box. And once I seal up the box will become opaque to light. So no stray light will get in. So the idea is we close the box very carefully with a tape, eventually to look like that. And then we start adding stuff like, the diffraction grating and the slit. So the slit needs to go in first. So what I'll do is I'll connect the slit like this, so that when we close the box, the slit stays in a horizontal way, like that. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. I understand this is a lot of information.
So I'm sorry, horizontal to that extra piece on the bottom and to the 45.
Exactly. So when you close the box, you can hold it like that, and you'll see, this should be the right orientation. Okay. And that's horizontal, right? Because the slit has one line, and this is horizontal. So you have to connect the slit this way, but from the inside, like from that side. So first, what I'll do is I'll connect so I'll find out what is horizontal and what is not, right? So I understood now how do I connect the slit. So what I'll do is I'll connect the slit like this. I'll tape it here. And so so first take a look at the slits that you have received. If the slit is, let's say, less than 10 millimeters, you don't need to cut out 10 millimeter by 10 millimeter. You can do something smaller. I just do it at 10 millimeter, but I'll cover it off like with tape. So I'll connect the slit like that so that the window is closed and only there is a slit there, right? So let me just do that quickly.
Iqbal, there's question from Dennis asking how accurate does it need to be horizontal? I think you can use the line inside which you drew, right, for the window.
Yes, exactly. So you drew a line here, right? So there you can align it like that. It doesn't have to be super accurate. So if you make it vertical, you will still get the spectrum. The problem is it will be a thin line of spectrum, and I'll show you how the spectrum looks like. Maybe I have a few images on my phone, but what I'll do first is I'll just connect the slit there with a tape. That's a good question. Where's the tape? Okay.
Also, don't cover the slit with the tape, right? It just has to be in the
Please don't
corners.
cover. So the idea is you want to allow light to come in through the slit into the device. So you don't want to block everything. Let me just untape a device that I built recently. So this is duct tape. So it basically destroys everything that you use it for. Because I can't find the tape that I had. Come on. Okay, so this is the box, right? So I'll open this. Do you see I've connected the slit with tape here?
There's a great question from Jim saying in several sessions ago, you said that the cardboard may need to be painted. Is that not necessary?
Well, you
So
can
Jim,
paint it.
yeah, as far as it's like, there's no extra stray light coming in, it's fine. Like you see Iqbal taped it with black tape. But if you don't have a black tape and it's still very secure and you don't have any stray light coming in, it's great. But also if you can paint it, it's amazing because then black is the best kind of to have.
Yeah. So you can paint it, but it's not necessary. But if you tape it well, so there is a reason why we started off with a single box, a single piece of box, right? If you start, I mean, you can build the same thing with multiple pieces and start taping endlessly, right? But once you start with a single piece, you fold it into, it automatically becomes opaque to light. So you just have to worry about one edge that you need to tape very well. Okay. So that's our box, and I have the slit taped here. So when I close this window, then you can see the slit is horizontal, right? I hope you can see it. And then what I'll do is I'll take additional tapes and then I'll tape all these edges so that no additional light can enter. I had this taped already. So the fourth square will act as a base, okay? And it's not super necessary, but it's necessary in a sense that so what we will have to do is we'll have to connect the cuvette here or leave the cuvette here with a sample in it. And then the cuvette stays on this base and this works nicely. Light will go through the sample, will enter the slit and then go through the refraction grating into your phone's camera. So that's the optical path of light, Okay, that's the whole idea. If I can help you visualize this whole process, maybe we can spend some time another day on the physics of spectroscopy and how it works. There is another piece of plastic, cardboard that I'll need to hold the cuvette in place. So I just took a random piece of cardboard and cut it like that, like a fork here. And the dimension of the fork is the same as the cuvette. The cuvette is square, so once you know one dimension in the cross section, you should be okay. So then what I do is I connect it on the top like this. And then I tape this guy as well. So now I can place the cuvette like this here. Or you can connect it like that. And if you're careful, you will just have enough space for the cuvette to go in. So the cuvette will stay in place like this. So this all can be, I mean, we can do it and we can ship it to you, but it's just fun to make it yourself and understand the physics of spectroscopy. So when you do a measurement, you know what exactly is going on. Okay. So that's an contraption that I need to make as well, so that I can have the cuvette there. So the cuvette will not stay there on its own, you know, it will be shaky. So I have to make this thing here like that, and there you go, the cuvette stays. So all these things will be taped. I untaped it, so I'll have to retape it to make it functional device. And the other side, which was the slanted side, I basically took the diffraction grating and the diffraction grating essentially. So the dimension of the diffraction grating, the open side, fits easily with this cross section that I made like that.
Does the orientation matter for the diffraction grating?
No, the orientation doesn't matter. So if you can leave it at any orientation, just make sure that this dimension fits perfectly with the slanted cardboard cutting so that no additional light can get in. I think I have tape on this side because I had on the other side previously. So I'll just retape it. So this is just an introduction. So there's no need to be worried about, like, it seems a little difficult, I can imagine. So you see, so now everything is sealed. So like basically, so I can point my camera here and I can then image whatever I can see. So eventually what you will see is, let me see if I have it on my phone. You'll see a spectrum.
Yeah, Jim, there's no front and back for the Iqbal, that's right? There's no front and back for the diffraction grating either.
No, the diffraction
both
grating
uniform,
works
yeah.
both ways, yeah.
It's pretty much like a prism splitting.
Yeah, it's exactly like that. Yeah, I can't seem to find the spectrum that I took. Okay, I think I got it.
I might have some too, I'm looking.
So when I point my phone on the into the device, I'll get a spectrum like that. You see that? So that spectrum is basically now the new picture. So it's not as amazing as the microscopy pictures, because microscopy wise, I mean, you can see what you're looking at and it's beautiful, right? You can see microorganisms, but spectroscopy is a little more vague. You need data analysis to understand what is in there. But that piece of the band of spectrum that you have, spectrograph or whatever it is called, that has the information of whatever is in that sample. So you see that the light coming out of the slit is split like from blue to red. And if you have more of green algae in your sample, then it consumes red light, and then you will see a decrease in red intensity in that spectrum if you do water sample versus algae. So that is the fundamental, what we are trying to achieve here. So let's assume that your, where did the cuvette go? So you have the cuvette, and your cuvette has, yeah, there you go. So the cuvette has water, right, in it, with more presumably algae in it, and the control would be water. So you'll have to take two pictures, one with water, regular water sample. So the water in principle will not consume red light as much as the green algae does. So the spectrum that you will get out on the other side will be a little different compared to the sample, which will have greenish structures in it. So that can be analyzed on a computer using a program, and the program would be able to tell you how much of a red shift you have, or red decrease in red intensity. And that will correlate directly to the amount of algae you have in the sample. So with microscopy, you can find out what kind of algae you have, right? But the sampling is so diverse and complex. But if I were to tell you how much of algae do I have in the water body, then spectroscopy is the gold standard. And what we are doing is not rocket science. People have been using it for a long time. Spectroscopy is the gold standard for measuring algal bloom. It's just that traditional spectroscopes would cost you tens of thousands of dollars. But this piece of cardboard can give you the same information that you get there. It's just that it's a little decentralized. You get this spectrum, you send it to us, we have the piece of code or program that will tell you how much of that, and we can also teach you how to do that. That's not a big deal, but that's the whole big picture is what I'm trying to say.
Why we'll also do basics in the next
exactly.
session.
Yeah, we'll
and that's
basics.
a fun one.
Yeah, I think
because I love when Iqbal teaches how you can look at gases with that's my favorite, in the sun and stuff.
Oh yeah. The same tool can be used to find out what elements you have in the sun. Because you know what I mean? Because if you point it towards the sun, the light from sun is coming into your phone, and then based on the amount of wavelengths absorption, you will get an estimate of what elements you have there. Yeah.
I think we have two wonderful questions also from David and Jim. So David is asking, will we need standards for some kind of spectroscopy? I'm guessing by standard you mean like the control, right, David, if I understand your question correctly, and the control is just water.
If you're using water to give you a baseline, then
right, absolutely,
I assume that covers it.
Yeah. So go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, go ahead.
So that's why we have sent you 2 cuvettes, at least 2 cuvettes. So I packaged the parcel in a way that we have given you like more than 2 cuvettes, right? But you can buy these things. These are very cheap from Amazon. However, the reason we have at least 2 cuvettes is while I'm doing the sampling, I'll use one for water, one for the sample, right? So that I don't contaminate both, contaminate the sample. So that's it. So you take regular drinking water in one of the cuvette, measure, get the spectrum, and then you add your sample to the other cuvette and measure and get the spectrum. That's the whole idea. I'll go through the basics of spectroscopy and do the demo one more time when we meet again. However, I think it would be amazing if you can do a bit of this papercraft at home, or bring in the necessary things next time in the session so that we can do it together. Yeah, so that I think would be helpful.
We have another question from Jim asking, will we need to filter the control sample? Just water is fine. I don't think you need that massive.
Think drinking water in the US should not have algae in it. Oh,
or UK. Hopefully not.
No, I didn't know if you wanted the control to be from the same body of water as opposed to
no, just drinking water. Yeah,
just drinking water. Yeah. I mean, as long as you have something that doesn't have any algae in it, the sample should be you should be able to differentiate. I mean, we are still working on the spectrum and all that, how to do better analysis, but I think building the device is a good exercise, and we'll take it from there. Meanwhile, microscopy is something that you guys are also practicing. So hopefully within a month, we'll be ready for fieldwork.
I think the other fun one when I think Iqbal taught us the first time is also if you have like some drink which is colored. I mean, I know we have like ruabza in the area, but I don't know any other colored drink which like is either super red or super green might be a good test.
Gatorade will also do, right? Gatorade.
Alankrit says wine. Yes, absolutely.
Some kind of drink that you
I didn't want to waste people's wine, but go ahead if you have a good red wine.
Wine, whiskey, whatever. Try that as well. But anyway, next time we'll make it together. I think not all of you don't have, most of you don't have the tools right in front of you today. But next time we'll send a better email in terms of what we will need with proper listing, and we'll try to go through the basics as well. Today was just a fun demo to show you how the whole process looks like.
Dennis, you can take a cuvette shot as far as it's sterilized. So the fun fact, we do that in lab, which I think should not go out of the lab, but like we have these what we call like already sterilized Falcon tubes. It's just plastic tubes. So every time somebody publishes a paper, we take shots out of that. But it's completely sterilized, so it's fine.
See. Let us know if you have any questions today. I think we are just about 1 hour now.
Well, I just wanted to make sure. So we have not sent out the dimensions yet, right? I mean, the blueprint.
No, we haven't sent the blueprint yet. Of the spectroscope box, right?
Yes.
No, not yet.
I've been going through the kit I received, and it appears that I don't have the cuvettes or the slits.
Really?
I've got the microscope stuff. I've got everything else, but I don't seem to have those.
Could
I
you
can
write us
order
an
the
email?
cuvettes on Amazon, but
yeah, the slit might be an issue. If you don't mind, just send us an email so we have your detail and we know how to sort that.
Yeah, we would need your address,
okay.
but it's unlikely.
You want me to look in the spare kits I've got, see if I could send something on?
Yeah, the spare kit would definitely
That'd
have
be great.
more cuvettes and more slits, but
Because you're in UK, right?
I'm in the
Yes.
UK, and in my
Yeah, I know
garage,
David
think
doesn't.
there are
Yeah,
two spare
so
boxes,
we'll
two
sort it
spare
out.
kits.
sorry, if you can send us an email, we'll hook you up with like David, and maybe we can facilitate another shipment.
Great. Thank
Cuvettes
you.
are easy. I mean, I could also Amazon you, but the only tricky part might be that small slit thing. That's something which we get
Yeah,
printed somewhere, and then.
But I'm sure
but it
David
should be
has it.
sorted.
We have a few extra bags with additional slits with David.
Yeah.
We'll find it. Don't worry.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. So if you also Google, you'll find a lot of interesting images on spectroscopy and algal bloom. People write scientific papers all the time. I'm looking at one right now, but it will be too much, and we don't have time today to discuss and go through that. But next time we'll talk about it. Someone actually is essentially measuring the harmful algal bloom in Lake Erie using the same spectrograph that I just showed you. It's interesting. In Cleveland, apparently. Anyway, all right. It was a pleasure to have you all today. If you have any questions, please shoot us an email. We'll try to resolve any microscopy problems. Next time, please bring all these paper craft with you, and we'll do a demo together. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You want to stop recording?